Hi, my name is Sainath. Today I'm going to discuss my data management individual project based on dataset in e-commerce. So let's get started. And this is the ER diagram of the dataset. It contains four tables: sales, products, invoice, and customer. And with the primary key of invoice number, customer ID, and stock code, and invoice number for the sales. And let's jump into the code. And here we are creating tables. We are creating sales table which contains invoice number, stock code, and quantity. Here both invoice number and stock code are unique, so we can set them as primary key. And here we are creating the table customer which contains customer ID and the country. And customer ID is the primary key in the customer table. And the next table is invoice table. Here we are creating invoice table which contains invoice number and date of invoice and customer ID. Here we consider invoice number as primary key, and we are create this another table called products table which contains stock code, description, and unit price of the each product. So let's jump into the MySQL queries. And coming to the first query, customer with most and least number of transactions. As of getting into the least number of transactions, we are selecting the from the sales table. We are selecting the customer ID from the invoice table, and some of the both quantity from the sales table and unit price from the products table as a sum, because each customer buys the quantity and number of quantity into price of the product. And now we are joining the both invoice table and sales table using the invoice number as a foreign key. And again we are using the joining function. We are joining the products table and sales table. Only then we can group it by the customer ID from the invoice table, and we are getting the order amount spent. So we are making the amount spent in the order of ascending order to get the least transaction customer, and we are limiting it to one only because we need only the customer with least transaction. So we get the answer as customer with customer ID 14213 with an amount spent of it's in the negative number. And in the same way we order by the descending order to get the customer with highest amount spent. And we can see the customer with 18102 is the customer with most number of transactions and highest amount spent. And coming to the second question, we need to know understand which customer is buying the specific product in what quantity. Here we need to find a specific customer who has bought the large amount of quantity of a specific product. So here from the sales table we are selecting customer ID from the invoice table, and p dot description from which is from products table. As a product description, it describes the what is the type of the product and how much quantity from the sales table whether the customer is buying. So here we are joining both invoice and sales table and products table with the sales table, because we need to order it by both customer ID, because we need to know which customer is buying this product, and we need to order them by description so as to get the highest quantity and what is the specific product the customer is buying. So in the output we can see that customer with customer ID 12346 has bought the highest amount of product called medium ceramic top storage jar of a quantity 174,215. And you can see it's in the descending order. And let's jump into the next question. Here we need to identify customer with lowest and highest number of transactions. So to get the lowest number of transactions and highest number of transactions, we need to get from the sales table. We need to get the customer ID, and we need to count the how many amount spent from each invoice table as a transaction number. So let's keep it as a transaction number so that it's easy to understand. And from the sales table invoice number, we are joining invoice table and sales table using invoice number as its a foreign key. So we are grouping it by each customer because we need to know customer with highest and least number of transactions. As we come to the customer with most number of transactions here, we can they are ordered by we have ordered by transaction number in the descending order, because we can get the count of invoice number, how many times the customer had made the transactions. So we are limiting it to one because we need only the highest customer. So we got with the customer ID 17841. he had made 6,875 transactions. And in the same way, customer with least transaction, we just need to order the transaction number by ascending order, so we get the least number of customer. So the customer with least number of transactions is 12403, with the transaction highest transactions is 1. So this is it, and let's just jump into the next question. So here we need to find product that's trending based on the purchase frequency. So we need to find a product which has been sold highest number to least number. So here we are limiting up to the 10, because we are getting up the top 10 products which are in the trending right now. So here just select the description of the product from the product table and count of how many stocks of each product has been delivered or sold from the sales table. And now we are joining the product table here and stock sales using the stock code, and we are grouping it by description because we need to know what is the quantity sold of each product. So we are ordering it by purchase frequency in the descending order, because we need to know highest purchase frequency. So these are the top 10 companies with highest purchase frequency, top 10 products, sorry. And let's jump into the next question. So which country is making the most purchases? So we, as we have the data of each customer and country, and with each customer with country from customers table, we can find out the, we have to select from sales table, and we are selecting the country from the customer table, and count of invoice number, which means some we are finding how much amount each customer has spent and how many purchases are made as purchases. And we are joining the both invoice table and sales table to get the country and to get the invoice number. And now we are joining the customer table with the invoice table, because we need to know the which country the customer is from. And we are grouping it by each country because we need to make find out what are the most number of purchases from each country. So we are grouping it by country, like United Kingdom, Germany, France, as you see in the output. And we are ordering the purchases from the descending order because we need to find the most purchases, and we are limiting it to top 10 countries. As you can see in the output, the country United Kingdom has the highest number of purchases with 321,111 purchases. And next you can see Germany and then France. And this is it. Next, let's jump into the next question. Here we need to find out with customer with most frequent purchases. So what we need to find here is a customer who had made most number of purchases, as you can see from the question. So we need to, from sales table, we need to get we are finding the customer ID from the invoice table, and how many purchases is made as count of invoice number as purchase count. And we are joining the both sales table and invoice table using the invoice number, and we are grouping it by each customer ID because we need to find most frequent purchases of each customer. So we are ordering it in the descending order, limiting to who are the top 10 customers with most number of purchase counts. And let's get to the next question. Here, project purchasing trend over time. In this, we are finding what are the most number of products sold in a month of each type, and coming to the next year, or in the based on the year and month. In this, we are selecting the description of the product and which year it has been sold and which month it has been sold, and what is the total quantity of the product that has been sold. So from invoice table, we are, and using invoice number, we are joining both invoice table and sales table. And from using the stock code, we are joining the products table and sales table. So that we can group the each by each description by using the description from the products table and invoice number and invoice date from the, so that we can group them in the order we need. And we are grouping it in the descending order based on the year and month, so that we can get to know from the recent to most backside what are the most trendy products. So this is it, and let's get into the next question. The next question is, we are segmenting the customers based on the total spending. So the customers who has spent more than 500 pounds, or like more than 500 pounds, is kept aside as the high spending customer, is segmented. And the customer who has been spending between 100 and 500 is known as the medium spending customer, and the customer who spends less than 100 is segmented as the low spending customer. So here you can see we are getting customer ID and country, and what is the amount he has been spending at the each time, and based on this we are summing each. And from the sales table you can see we have joined the invoice table and sales table using the invoice number. After joining them, we have grouped them by customer ID and country. We have given the country of the people who are from United Kingdom who have spent in medium spending, and you can get the people who are from United Kingdom having high spending, and this it. And we are ordering them in the based on the descending order, because we can get high spending first, then medium spending, then low spending. If we order them by ascending, then we get first low spending, then medium, then high spending. And this is about the queries. And now let's speak about the ethics in use of data in e-commerce. In ethical, uh, the and we can know what are the ethical practice of e-commerce, because based on the customer rating we have to keep the high rated products, and we have to ban the fraud products based on the ratings from the customers, and we have to remove all the lowly rated and make the final product description for each high rated one. And what are the unethical ways of practicing data is getting the sensitive data from the customer and selling the data without knowing their consent, and using this might cause selling data to the lowly product salesperson, so that they can go on pushing to buy their products, lowly products. And in ethical, when it comes, we need to make the faster refunds for any cancellations, and facing multiple payment gateways for the customers, so that they can pay through different types of platforms. And coming to unethical, exploiting the users, and which sometimes it generating the low products with low quality by buying them. So this is it from my side. Thank you for viewing.